Hi everyone, it's Simon from Railed. A lot of you have asked for us to do a video to show you how we're finding properties with land all over the country. This week you may have noticed that we did a feature, and that feature was properties under £300,000 with land, which is quite a tough ask, but we want to show you how we did it. Want to give you a little bit of an idea on the structure. So we're going to go through some of the popular platforms, Rightmove, On the Market, Zoopla, UK Land and Farms, and then we're going to show you some of the benefits of social media, and then a new platform that we've developed that you'll be able to look at, which will hopefully make things a lot easier. If you want to post any questions in the comments, feel free to do so. I'll get to them after we've done each bit of the platform. And if it's okay with you, we'll get started with Rightmove. So I'm hoping that you can all see my screen. So on the desktop version, you'll have much more chance of finding a property with land than you will on mobile, because the mobile features aren't the same. The way that we do things is click onto the search area and then draw a search. So you could be looking the whole of England, you could just be looking at a small location, whatever you want to do really. But we're going to replicate what we did this week, so you can see how we can find the properties with land. So depending obviously what your search is, will depend how far you go, but effectively you're drawing a little area around where you're looking for. Once you've chosen the area, you click view properties, but it's worth noting that if you want to get alerts, you can save these. So you could have one for, let's say you're looking in Norfolk and you were looking in Cumbria, you could set each one up. Click the view properties and it'll come up with this little section here. You can also click the list view. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of results that will come up throughout the whole country. If you want to, you can set a minimum maximum price, which is what we did, £300,000. You can set a minimum bedrooms, maximum bedrooms, your usual features really. But the best thing to do to try and filter through is to add keywords that are relevant. Obviously, some of them will appear even in non-relevant ones, and I'll use an example such as stables. Somebody can have a stable style door and that would still pop up. But if you added 3 keywords, equestrian, stables, and acre, then you will get all of the price points and all of the features falling down in order of relevance. So it will start with your 3 matching keywords, and eventually it'll get down to the 2. But as you can see, you've got properties there that are at this price point with land and with facilities. Now, quite a lot of the time, you may click into an advert and it's not immediately apparent what the acreage is, i.e. it's not been in this summary section for whatever reason. So one of the things that you can do, again on desktop version, on your keyboard, press Control and press F, and it'll come up with this little box. And this little box is a tool for pretty much every website, and it's a find tool. So you could find every bit in this section that says acre, and you can go straight to them. So approx 1 acre, 1 acre. You could do things like stables, and you can work your way through there again as well. Now, quite a lot of the time, you'll see, 2 seconds, sorry. Okay, okies. Melissa's telling me that nobody can see what it is that we're doing. 2 seconds. Can people see this now? If you let us know in the comments, is it showing you the screen? What about now? Yeah, I've got it. Cool. Yeah, it's because we're looking at the same page. So can everybody see the Rightmove page? Still getting a lot of no's. Okay, give me 2 seconds then. If I share the full screen, it might be a little bit easier. Right, I'm on it now. I'm going to go back to the comments. Could everybody see it then? This one? Yep, cool. Let's start again then. So when you're looking at the search bar, if you click into it, you'll see this draw search area. If you click on that, and again, as I said before, we're going to replicate the search that we did this week. Draw an area around what it is that you're looking for. And as I said before, you can save these areas. So this could be area under 300,000, whatever the search is that you're doing, Norfolk, Lincolnshire, anywhere really. Click the view properties and click on list view in the top left. And you'll come up with all of the properties that fall through in that area. Now, we did the search up to 300,000. And this is the section here where you'll add the keywords. It could be anything. It could be stables, annex, acreage, paddocks. There's a lot of variety of different words to use. I'm just going to check back on you to make sure that it's coming through. Can you all still see it all right? I'll assume so. So what I would tend to do, acres an obvious one. Stables is a good one. And then equestrian as well. And then you'll see all of the properties that pop up. 300,000, and they match all 3 key features. And you can keep going and keep going all the way down to the last pages if you want to. And you can see this section here where it says matching 3 keywords. So what will happen is after you've got past the 3 keywords, it'll go to 2. So it might just match acres and stables. But effectively, you can go around and you can see everything that matches. Now, as I said earlier, not every agent will showcase all of the land in an obvious way. So you can click into a listing, hold the Control key down on your keyboard and press F. And then this is the search bar that we referred to before. You can type in acre, and then you can see the acres straight away. It's the fastest way of doing it. So if you get a long bit of text, finding it can be a little bit difficult. Now, you can make these more specific. So we obviously know a lot of people will be looking for a number of acres, but I'll tell you, it's not as good because it's only going to match to the numbers that you put in. So if you look in, let's say 2 acres, it's not going to give you 22 acres if something applies. You could be looking for multi-generation. So you could be looking for a property with annex, equestrian and stables, and anything that adjoins or matches or highlights in those will be shown. What a lot of people will do is they will just narrow down to an area and a type. And that's as good as it's going to get really for Rightmove in terms of how easy it is to navigate to find these extra bits. But you can narrow it down to area. And if you really don't want to miss anything, the best thing to probably do is to not put a max or min price, or put one that's a little bit higher than what your expectations are in terms of price. So again, acre, equestrian. Obviously, you can put small holdings farms in there as well. Stable. because they're going to be in price order anyway from the 3 that match, you can see that this has narrowed it down to all the ones that match through. Now, when it comes to advertising on Rightmove, if you're an agent or a seller, there are a few things that you can do to maximize your chances. And you can see here a great example from Savills. You look at that picture straight away, even if you hadn't have looked into the way that we did, the acreage and things like that, looking at that picture straight away that it's an equestrian facility, it's got land, the drone photos make a big difference. If you look at that one straight away, obviously you've got these extra photos at the side. I wouldn't look at that and automatically associate it with land. So you're not automatically aware straight away. It doesn't jump out. Obviously, it's got 14 acres. Again, you've got these little tags that you can have. But generally speaking, as a platform, I'm going to come off Rightmove now and stop sharing. Generally speaking, as a platform, Rightmove isn't geared up for selling properties with land in an easy way. And it's a shame because out of all of the platforms, it'd probably be the easiest one to do it for. But you can make the most of it. I certainly wouldn't be relying on Rightmove to sell a property with land. They're not easy to navigate. And I'm going to give you an example. There's a lot of you in here now. If you're looking for a property, £500,000, you want 10 acres, you don't care where in the country you go to, even that search that we've just showed you is not easy and it won't narrow it down. And if it's difficult to find doing it that way, then there'll be a lot of people who are missing out and not seeing the property that's listed. And you will have all missed out on plenty. And I've done it before as well. If you've really got to try hard to find it, it can be really difficult. I'm going to show you now, hopefully, if we've done it right this time, Zoopla. There we go. Can somebody let me know in the comments if you can see the screen again that I'm sharing, just so I know that it's come through? Cool. Thanks, Rebecca. So I'll close the right down. So for Zoopla, what you need to do is you need to scroll up to this Zoopla section and press this big X. I really wouldn't waste my time looking on Zoopla. It is probably the worst one, realistically. It's just, you just can't navigate it. You just can't navigate it at all. Zoopla, again, for home sellers is not great, in my opinion, for more bespoke properties. I'll give you an example again. Let's assume that we're selling a property of £1 million. The Zoopla price point algorithms are based on capital growth from last transaction. So it doesn't bear any relevance to the actual price point today. So if a property sold at £100,000 in 2000 and property prices have increased by 14%, that's obviously going to give you a valuation today of 114,000. But it doesn't factor in actual statistics of if you've put planning permission in, if you've got more land, less land. It doesn't put in market trends for properties with land or anything like that. So I've seen it before where we've got property on the market at £1 million and Zoopla's sat there next to it telling you it's worth £500,000. I wouldn't use Zoopla. I'm not sure if any of you in the chat actually do. I know that we do get asked when we're selling properties, do we use Rightmove, do we use Zoopla and these type of things? But no, Zoopla literally couldn't give it away to me, and they've asked. I just wouldn't use it. Now, out of all the big portals, I'm going to show you on the market next. And on the market, out of the big three, to me, is the best one because you can quite easily look at a location and you can press the filter section and you can go straight down to properties with land on the filters. And I could find it again, 2 seconds. It's on the property type, sorry. And you can look farms and land. Obviously, you can set them up with map views, list views, most recent properties, price points. I'm looking in the center of Lincoln here, which is not going to be easy. So you do get a little bit more here doing it this way, and it's a much easier search than having to add keywords and search points and things. But the summary descriptions when you do it this way aren't really there. So you're almost having to click into them to figure out what's going on. Now, again, you can quite easily do the Control F. You can do that on any website. You can get to the keyword acre, and you can see straight off the bat how many acres that are there. You could do the same for stables, annex, any keyword that you want to. But at least with on the market, you can separate between farms and land. Now, there is a critical flaw here, and I'm going to explain estate agent CRMs and how that works. A CRM is where we host and then feed our data from as agents. And what you choose in that CRM is critical to how it will display. So if you don't change the settings on the back end as an agent, it could still come through as a detached house, which is great. And, you know, it probably is a detached house or a bungalow or whatever you want to do. But you have got the option of labeling these properties as farms, equestrian, things like that. And if you don't do that, it's not going to filter into that search. It's not going to be brought up in that farms and land section. But it's still easier to go through farms and land and then work it backwards from there than to do the Rightmove search that we've just showed you. I'm just reading what Michael's put here. That's interesting about Zoopla. We find property with land quite easily on Zoopla, but had noticed the valuations were based on agents' valuations, as the Zoopla valuation jumps a lot if a property is listed higher. Zoopla is good in that it gives you price history, whereas Rightmove doesn't seem to give that. Rightmove can give you that if you go into the sold house price section. So it will tell you what previous sales history is like. Maybe you're better at navigating Zoopla than I am, but I've never found Zoopla easy. The valuations can be altered as well, and again, that's part of the problem. So agents can go in and suggest a different valuation. Homeowners can go in and suggest a different valuation. All I know from an agent's point of view, sat here valuing bespoke houses all the time, the amount of people that I see or talk to who would say, well, Zoopla tells me it's worth X, and it's never even remotely close. It's either a million miles too high or a million miles too low. But I certainly don't find it an easy portal to navigate. Maybe you can do a video, Michael. You can show us how you're doing it. What I want to share you now, it starts to get a little bit more important when you get to the social media side. And I want to explain the social media side really well. Now, a lot of you will be following us already. You'll be part of the groups. But I want to explain the benefits of these groups. So these groups, you've got Discover Equestrian, you've got Equestrian Country and Rural Homes. There are plenty more. These are the biggest two, I think, in the country, and the ones that we admin. Jan Freeman's got a great group as well. There's around 40,000 members in there. But what you find is these groups become a bit of a haven for properties. And what I see is that a lot of homeowners will test the market or put feelers out there before an agent's involved. Quite often you'll see people asking for help that they're looking for. And you see these dialogues that happen, and there's quite a lot that happen direct to the owners before they're even on the market. So if you're looking to get a bit of a heads up, these groups are great. In particular, once you're in a position to proceed, you're far more likely, if you put a post up to say, I'm looking for X in X location with this budget, I'm sold subject to contract, I'm a cash buyer, or whatever it may well be, you're far more likely to get a response. The amount of times that we've had clients, and I know that there's a few of you in here now, who have asked us to help them find a property, and we've posted in the groups, and there's been a good response back. It's amazing. And the reach that you can get for a property post, I'll just show you one, because obviously we can see the metrics there. You can see how many thousands of people are looking at a post. Now, I want to offer you a bit of context on that. So one of our properties last year on onthemarket.com was the third most viewed property of the entire year. Like with all properties, all agents, all property types, and that reached 71,000 views. Which obviously, without context, you don't know if that's good. Is it normally 1,000? Is it normally 1,000,000? But it was the third most viewed, which means it was obviously quite high. Now, that same property on social media, through what we were doing, reached 750,000 people, so 10 times more than the third most viewed property of the entire of 2023 on onthemarket.com, and it took just 3 days. Now, if you're being cynical, you would say, yeah, but Simon, the people who are on the market are just looking for properties. No, they're not. And the properties that we deal with that you guys are looking for are aspirational type of properties. So many people who would move if they saw the right thing, maybe not thinking of moving, kind of, well, if something popped up, you never know, I'd take a look, that type of approach. And I'll tell you that unless you put it in front of them, they'll never know that it exists. And then you've got the extra social element of social media. It doesn't take much, and you'll have all seen it, where somebody's tagging a mate, they're sharing it, and then somebody else shares it, and then it gets passed on and passed on and passed on, and it finds its way to an audience that wouldn't have necessarily seen it otherwise. I would define Rightmove, On the Market, Zoopla as reactive portals. And by that, I mean an agent or you will have it on there and you're hoping that something sticks. It's on there. You can't really do anything about it. You can't really change it a great deal to make an impact, but it's there. It's being advertised. And if somebody sees it, great. But to me, what if they don't see it? What are the proactive steps that are being taken? Newspapers, yeah. But most of these people buying these type of properties, as you'll all know, will have massive search areas. So a local newspaper ain't going to cut it. Printed press magazines, Horse and Rider, Horse and Hound, they've got an audience. They do help. Absolutely. Any extra exposure that you're going to get are going to be beneficial. But nothing is going to replace the however many billion people are on social media in terms of getting it out there proactive to an audience. What it also does is it gives you feedback in real time. The amount of people that are commenting on the post, liking the post, saying something's too expensive, saying that maybe it needs knocking down, or saying that what they would do with the property to give people ideas. There's all sorts of things, and it gives you feedback in real time. Now that's helpful. A lot of you will have seen the coming soon post that we do as well. So again, to me, social media is great for that. I find, and correct me if I'm wrong, I find that most people would try and find something first because what they're looking for is so specific that a lot of you, when something would pop up, aren't quite in the position that you'd ideally like to be, i.e. you've got a property to go to the market, a property to sell, whatever it's going to be. And that's where those coming soons, in my opinion, come in handy. And I know people message us when we do them, but there's inevitably going to be a delay between us visiting the property, an owner saying that they want to sell, and then us getting all the professional marketing done. There's usually a 2-week lag. So in that 2-week lag, forget social media for a second. Would you expect your estate agent to be ringing their database, ringing their clients, emailing it out to all of the people who may have left the details? You would. But social media is that on steroids. I comfortably say that more than 95% of our interest now comes from social media, and that's people viewing, people selling. I can't remember the last time. I don't think we ever sold a property on Rightmove through Reld yet, and that's why we came off it. There was just no point. It wasn't doing anything. The social media element is doing far more than anything else. When it comes to finding a property, it's difficult, but there are software solutions that exist for us as agents. And I'll tell you now, I can't share it for you today, but there is software that exists where we can access every single property on the market by land size. So we could see every property that's got 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, as long as the land registry title matches, by any price, in any location, with any number of bedrooms, whether it's listed, whether there's a planning application pending, and that's on and off market. So there are quite a few people who've said to me in the past, here, Simon, this is what I'm looking for. Here's the area that I want to look at it in. And we can actually tell people what you're looking for genuinely doesn't exist. The price point isn't right. You may need to look a little bit further afield. Now, a lot of this, in terms of converting that to helping you find a property, that would be actually mailing these people, mailing these homeowners and saying X and Y, looking for a property, here's the buying position, are you interested in potentially selling? And again, that's part of the problem with being a little bit of a step behind. They're not going to take you seriously until you're in a position to proceed. So when you're in a position to proceed, it's easier for people like us to send a letter, explain that 15 people are looking for a property in your area at this price point. Here are their situations. Can we have a chat? It's a lot easier. Now, I'm going to show you something that we've developed. Some of you are aware of it already, some of you aren't. This is the follow-on from Tracks for Hacks, which was sort of the test version, and it's called Discover Equestrian. And our hope with Discover Equestrian is that it will take all of the worry and the stress out of moving. So Discover Equestrian is what it sounds like. It's an equestrian lifestyle platform. But on there, we have developed a property portal where you can search by a property having stables, whether it's got outbuildings, menage, annex. You can search in any given location with a distance filter. You can look for a minimum number of acres. So you want a minimum of 20, 25, all the way up to 50 plus. And your price point. Now I'm looking between 2 and 3.5 million, for example. You can look by pins on a map. So you could comfortably say, I'm looking in this location. What are the pins there? You can click on the pins. You can click into the property, which to me is much easier to navigate. There's other special features as well, but we'll show you those in a second. So for this property, you can see the initial photos. You can view everything. You can see the videos. Straight off the bat, you know how many bedrooms, how many baths, how many acres, how many other features are with it. And what we've also done is we've integrated our own custom map where you can find all of the bridleways, byways, footpaths, and restricted byways in a location. So as you can see on this property, there is tons of outriding available. It's really good, actually, good location for outriding. On top of that, we've also integrated any participating nearby service. So you can see Plumpton College on this one is only 1.37 miles away. There's an approved beta salary house, an RDA centre, ABRS approved. And you can also search by a specific category. So if you're looking at the closest tax stores nearby, yard and paddock maintenance, showing events and equipments. And our hope is that eventually you'll have all the information like this on demand, but that relies on other agents using it. And what we're doing at the moment, so if you've got property to sell or you're an agent watching, as we're getting ready for launch, you can advertise your property on here for free. We have made it inclusive for homeowners as well. So if you're a homeowner and the agent doesn't see the value in a platform like this, you can put it on here yourself. Now, you could also be looking for keywords. So if you're looking for a particular village or location, you could also do a search like this. and you can see, looking through Anderston properties, and you can click straight into it, and again, see everything that you want to do. Play the videos, you can contact the agent, you can do everything that you need to do. It's got other features as well, like the riding, the business and service categories. There's plenty more, but as this is about finding properties, we'll leave it at that. But we believe that that will then increase the visibility massively and make life a hell of a lot easier. Do you have a different site planned for small holdings, or will they be on the equestrian site? It's a good question. Let us finish this first, and let us get it as big as it needs to be to make it beneficial. But I think anything that could have equestrian potential, effectively properties with land, they'll all be permitted to be on the site. So as long as it's got a minimum of an acre, either equestrian facilities or equestrian potential, it can be on this site. Longer term, yes, there would be a section that would be farms and small holdings, different website, different type of lifestyle, because it's ultimately a lifestyle platform. It needs to be very much tailored to that. But yeah, farms and small holding could be one. You could do a version of this for anything: self-building, camping, glamping, luxury yachts. You could do it whatever. But I think for now we're focused on the properties with land side, and the equestrian is probably the easier bit to connect up with at the moment. Some of the lifestyle elements of farming, small holding, there's quite a lot of change in the community at the moment, particularly with rural payments. So it doesn't make sense to probably get into that now. But yeah, we could do. Has anybody got any questions that we've not already covered? Want anything repeating? Want anything showing again? I'll give you a minute. Any feedback from the Discover Equestrian? Do we think that something like that will be helpful? What is the amount of acres that you've seen as the most popular? I think it's more price point rather than number of acres. But between 5 and 10 is probably the most asked for. And price point between 500 and 700,000 is probably the most common price point that we're asked for. But it changes from location to location. Somebody looking in a more affluent area where you're not going to get 5 acres at that kind of price point might just say they just want a bit of land. They want to be able to keep a horse at home. But as a national market, between 500,000 and 700,000 price point, and acreage 5 to 8. Some good feedback for Discover Equestrian, thank you. Anything else? Any ideas on other topics for another Q&A? Agricultural occupancy clauses always seems to be a popular one. Do I think equestrian house prices are dropping? It's a very good question, and it's quite a complicated answer, but bear with me. So the demand for equestrian properties is actually increasing. We've never had as many people register in a calendar month that we had this month. So the demand is just exceptional. If you look at the groups, so many of you in these groups, you'll have noticed as well just how many people are asking now. Whether it's because they're fed up of the whole situation, they're fed up over the last couple of years, I don't know. But the demand seems to be quite high. Now, in terms of price point, prices are dropping-ish. So the main difficulty is that an equestrian property is at the higher end of the market, right? So the vast majority of people buying those type of properties need to sell something. They're either sidestepping and relocating, downsizing, or upsizing. And there's a lot of issues at the sort of the bottom to mid end of the market at the moment, particularly with mortgages. So mortgages are always going to be a pain anyway when you're spending significant sums. But it takes the lower end of the market to move so then that the family houses move, and then the family houses go into the country houses move, and then the country houses that go to the equestrian properties move. So it's a difficult question, but on the whole, because they're all achieving a little bit less below you, and because the mortgage rates are not as good as they were, and probably won't be again, or certainly not for a very long time, it is having an impact on properties. And if you look at Rightmove, if you believe what Rightmove would have to say, property prices are predicted to drop by another 2% this year. That's obviously in the general market, but that's not because mortgages aren't getting better, because they're at the cheapest rate that they have been for a long time. Well, certainly over the last 12 months. And there is much more positive buyer sentiment. What they believe is going to happen is that because more people are more confident, that more properties will come to the market and that we'll have a supply and demand issue. So they believe that supply will be higher than it has been, demand will remain the same, and they believe that that will force prices down a little bit. When all's said and done, they aren't making any more properties with land, so they'll always have their own rules when it comes to prices achieved, prices asked for. But I would say on the whole, yes, but not considerably so. Leone. Just out of curiosity, on the discovery question site, can a real estate agent promote their properties? If so, is there a price point? Yeah, that's the whole point. We want estate agents who are a bit more forward thinking, who see the value in properties with land having a special place and bridal ways being important and services being important, because we know that it is. We deal with the same questions day in, day out. So yes, estate agents can promote their properties on the platform. In terms of price point, right now, because we're getting ready to launch, obviously we want as many properties on there as we can, so it launches with a bit of a bang. However, when it comes after that point where we stop giving it away for free, we've built it in a way that means that there are no subscriptions, and that's a big barrier for a lot of estate agents. One subscription, another subscription, you keep adding them up, and where do you stop? You could be on every platform, but you never be in business anymore. So we've charged it at £25, and it's the same for homeowners, will be eventually. £25 plus VAT to list a property. And for that, it'll be on the website platform. He'll have all of that information integrated that you've seen. It'll also be on the app, and we'll also promote it through social media. We also have some journalistic resources as well, where we're hoping to film a few of these properties for the news blogs and the features, so you can get that extra exposure, with a longer term ambition of an Escape to Equestrian style TV show, like Escape to the Country, but just for equestrians, that we can host on our platform. Good question. Let's have a look. So many livery yards are closing. Yeah, a lot of livery yards are closing. There was an article this week from the Horse and Hound that the increase in national minimum wage is believed to have such an adverse impact that around 20% of equestrian businesses are concerned that they need to close. It is a worry. It is. And that's why we're talking to as many key organizations as we can. We had another one today, a great meeting, so that they can better understand, well, what are the pain points? Obviously, revenue is one for a lot of livery yards, riding schools, things like that. And there's a lot of lack of knowledge in just what people can do here to generate extra revenue, and what they can do in terms of finances, what they can do to acquire sites. Again, I'll give you a good example. A lot of people are working within a budget but haven't considered buying a property in two lots, i.e., let's get a residential rate on the property and let's get the commercial rate on the yard. So that might increase the budget if they're factoring in just paying commercial rates on the whole at the moment. The revenue side of things, it's fairly similar across the country, actually, in terms of the price difference and scales between DIY liveries, part liveries, full liveries. There's not that much in it, to be honest. And there is a vast difference in prices. You know, if you go to somewhere where a livery yard will cost 500 grand to buy and you're making X amount of pounds, and you go somewhere else and the same livery yard will cost you 3 times as much and you're only making 10% extra, it means that there's a bigger gap in actually servicing people. But one of the biggest issues is there are so many people, thousands and thousands of people who have got the dream and vision of having a livery yard or riding school, but the funding gap between what a lender will do and the incomes required versus the incomes needed, that's one of the main reasons why. But that's why the Discovery Equestrian platform should help, because it'll increase the visibility, it'll highlight where the gaps are, it'll mean that the organizations can start to target areas that they need to service. It'll help with things like grant funding, Sport England funding, and then hopefully there'll be some financial support in place. And on top of that, the Discovery Equestrian platform, when we get the TV and recording videos done, it'll be very similar to how TikTok, Facebook works and things like that, where they will generate revenue from the sponsorship, coins, things like that. So it opens up a new revenue source for them as well. But yeah, a lot of livery yards are closing. God ain't making, yeah, that's right, Joe. God ain't making any more land. Justin, can you recommend a good search engine facility to find land registry, title, boundaries, etc.? I don't know if you're an agent, Justin, or if you're a private individual. For agents, there are quite a few. But if you're just looking at, I don't know if you're looking at more for development and you're just trying to find properties or land that are in areas that could fall within development boundaries. There's quite a lot of software for that now. I can't remember the name, the main name of one that's there. You can look at portals like Adland. We use ProMap for our boundaries. It'll also showcase where the titles are. HMRC, sorry, the government website, HM Land Registry. You can buy titles from there. Agricultural occupancy Q&A and be good. Yeah, I think that'll be a good one as well, to be honest. There's a lot of misconception when it comes to occupancy clauses. Julie, a very reasonable price. Yeah, absolutely. 25 quid, it's less than the cost of a board. And if you're selling £1 million property and you're an agent and don't want to spend £25, I'd be worried. Problem with people coming to find. I've had a problem. Hang on. I've had a problem with people coming to find some private land. How specific do you have to be in regards to location with a listing? Oh, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca. I think what you're asking is more like on a discrete marketing basis, right? So how do you work around the location with a listing? Depends where you're going to do a listing and where you're going to put it. So for something like Rightmove on the market, places like that, it's going to be very specific. But for Discovery Equestrian and how we built the platform, you could be more general on the location. So you could say, I mean, you're going to have to be fairly relevant. There's no point trying to say there's a piece of land in Lincolnshire and you're trying to sell it just in the UK. But you can drop the pin anywhere on the map. We've got the coming soon ones. You'll have seen those. You can drop the pin so you can be a bit more discreet. So it will allow you to do a bit more discreet, whisper, whatever you want to call it, marketing using the platform and the database from the platform. But like when anything's on the discrete basis, once you've told one person, there's always a risk that other people find out. Anything else from anyone? I can see you there just in private. Not really, mate, to be honest. Land registry is the easiest one. If you want to sign up for some professional software, there are some decent ones. Just depends why you're trying to buy the titles, really. Are you trying to buy the titles because you want to get more information on a property, look at the covenants and whatnot beforehand? Because a lot of agents now, for anti-money laundering purposes, will be downloading the titles and the plans. So you could always ask them if they've already done that. Not really aware of that much, to be honest. Most of the websites I see, like if you Google where you can buy the titles from, very expensive, like 20, 30 quid for something that would actually cost you three from the land registry website. So I'd stick with land registry, to be honest. No, it's advertising on the portal, but people find land. This is to find the land, and it's a security risk. People are turning up to find the land. Nothing you can do, Rebecca, is there really? It's only like selling a house. Even if you're vague when it comes to selling the house, people still turn up. I'm sure there's plenty of people in this group who have either just turned up, done a drive-by, or anything else. It's difficult. How do you stop people being people? I think when it comes to being vague, it's hard because you want to try and advertise what it is that you're selling, and people will find out anyway. But people will find out one way or the other, right? Like I say, if once one person knows, other people know. But in terms of the legalities and the compliance of it, you'd get away with being a little bit more broad. But I assume that you will be keeping things like boundary plans and things like that on there as well. So difficult. I'll just put viewing by appointment only and maybe put a board up. Difficult. Michael, you mentioned Mark, do you have any thoughts on? Yes, I do. So, Michael, I'll ask you the question. We know you can't search Rightmove by acreage. We know you can't search Zoopla by acreage. You know you can't search on the market by acreage. UK Land and Farms, you can sort of search by a little bit of acreage, but UK Land and Farms is run by the AMC, which is the Agricultural Mortgage Corporation. So, what a lot of the agents are that are on that platform are part of the AMC's network or surveyor network quite a lot. But unless you are switched on, the UK Land and Farms portal, half the properties probably are sold. Certainly in my experience, and sold a long time ago. I've messaged people and agents have gone out of business and they're still on there. UK Land and Farms could be a really good portal, but I can't remember it changing at all in my career. If they updated it, they made it easier to navigate, they were a bit more inclusive of the properties, allowed you to filter a bit better. UK Land and Farms would be really good. But again, we've used UK Land and Farms before ourselves for our properties. Didn't generate anything. I know a lot of people will look on there, and a lot of people will tell me the same. They've inquired about a property and it sold ages ago, and it's still on there. So difficult, really. Agents' own websites. That one's a funny one. So all of you now, let's assume that you're all looking for property with land. Let's assume that you're trying to choose an estate agent to sell your property with land. Let's assume that you wanted a specialist, somebody who knew what they were talking about. Would your expectation be that you go to an agent's website who specializes in properties with land and you could filter them by the amount of land that you need, stables, annex, whatever, those type of things? Because mine would. And out of the top 10 estate agents who deal with properties with land, one of them you can do that with. The majority you can't. I think a better question would be, is there any merit in signing up with agents for alerts? Depends on the agent. If it's harsh to say, but if they're a bog standard agent who deals predominantly in normal houses and get the occasional property that might work, probably not, because their matching software that matches you and the property doesn't normally factor in the bespoke features that you want. So you'll just be sent everything and anything. If it's somebody like a Rural Scene, a Savills, a Fine and Country, us, agents like that, I would say that there is a benefit in matching and signing up for agents' websites, because quite a lot of the time we'll either have a client database, an off-market list, or something that we might just be able to pair you with. But I probably won't be going to the effort of an agent where you get one every now and again, to be honest. Want to find the owners of land so we can approach them. Justin, what are you approaching them for? Depending on what you're approaching them for. If you're approaching them to lease you a bit of grazing or to buy a parcel, most of the land registry information, unless it's traded recently, is out of date anyway. Most of the landowners haven't transacted for a period of time. Most land hasn't transacted for a period of time. It's generational farming. You'd almost be better going to, if you know who owns the land or manages the land, like an estate manager, and talking to them. Because, yeah, any platform where you're just getting titles, I'll tell you that there are thousands of property sourcing agents. There are thousands of developers who do exactly that. And they're sending letters to these addresses that were done 20 years ago. Think of it now, your property, you could move tomorrow and then move again and then move again and move again. And if you didn't sell that property, your address would still be somewhere that you were 20 years ago. That's generally what happens with land. So, yeah, probably won't. Depends on what you're doing it for and what return you're hoping to get, but probably not that worthwhile. Yeah, I've seen Nimbus. Again, depends what you're using it for, Justin, to be honest. When is the new platform launching? I hope to have mine ready to sell next week or two. It sounds perfect for both selling. Yeah, it does. That's what it's trying to be, Tina. You can log on to it now. I'll try and get a link here. So you can already log on to the platform. You can already create an account. You can already begin advertising. And your agent can do it or you can do it. Depends on how you want to do it. In terms of full launch, we're only a couple of weeks away now, a week or two away. We've just got some finishing touches to do. But yeah, only a week or two away. Michael, any thoughts on using the buying agents? Do they have extra tools? Yes, they do. We help our clients buy properties. We have been a buying agent and technically still are, but it is very time consuming, very, very time consuming. And you have to really, really understand what it is that you're looking for so that you can communicate that. As I say, there is some software out there where you can search by the number of bedrooms. You can search by whether it's listed or not, the square footage, the acreage, the predicted price, planning applications. That software exists for agents. Not all agents use it. And that's for on and off market properties in any given location. So anybody, in theory, if we had enough time to do it, could tell me specifically what they're looking for, right down to the house type, and we could tell you if it exists or not, the property address, and you could write out to them. Depends what you're going to get out your buyer's agent, to be honest, what they're going to charge you. But yeah, they can be worth it. Roger Horsley, what is your USP? Because you are too random as far as I can see. Do you mean Discovery Equestrian, Roger? Or do you just mean us as a business? I'll wait for you to drop that one in the comments. There you go. Look, the power of social media. Tina's telling us that she's selling a property, and somebody's messaging them asking what they're looking for, what they're selling. What do you mean, yes, Roger? Yes, Discovery Equestrian or us as a business, Reld? Like us as an estate agent or Discovery Equestrian as a platform? Justin, Nimbus is one of them. You can look at ProMap, Adland. Can't remember the name of the other one at the moment. So us as a business, we're an estate agent. We sell properties up and down the country. But like every other estate agent that you've ever seen, except we do all of the other bits on top instead, because that's the bit that nobody else is doing. So our USP is being out there and being proactive. you'll have seen, Roger, I've seen that you commented on our stuff. How much more of our stuff do you see put under your nose as a potential buyer, seller, than any other agent? So our USP is making those properties accessible, to be honest, and having the knowledge. I don't think there's many agents who would sit through and show people how to access them a little bit easier, or have the knowledge on all sorts of weird and wonderful topics, covenants, occupancy clauses, things like that. And our USP is obviously us. As people. If you don't like us, fair enough. Anything else? I'll assume not. If you do think of anything else that you want to ask, by all means, drop it through. I'll put the link through to Discover Equestrian again. Again, that's an independent business. It's not part of RELD. It's just that we had the idea to build that platform to make life easier. Oh, geez. Great, thank you. Yeah, you'd say that, Joe, because we sold for you. Yeah, Emma's got a good point. Some creative thinking in trying to access properties with land, splitting titles, mixed-use mortgages, things like that. The knowledge goes a long way in and can really increase your budget as well if you know what you're doing. I'm going to put that up, Roger. We go where we're asked to go, mate. If people ask us to go to Lincolnshire, we'll go to Lincolnshire, Worcestershire, Scotland, Wales. We go wherever we're asked to go. So if we're not as active in an area, it's because we haven't been asked to go there that much. And to be honest, with everything that we've been building, we've not been able to exactly go and knock on doors for business. And to be honest, we haven't had to either. A lot of you have put good faith in us, which is great. And in terms of seeing the same property several times on Facebook, it's kind of the point, right? That it's not just about putting it on the internet and seeing it on Rightmove once and that's it. That's job done for an agent. It's about being proactive, isn't it? It's about, okay, well, the property's not sold. How can we deliver it in another way? We can share it through Facebook. We can then do a reel, do a video. And the reason that we do different types of posts, different times, different videos, all of the same property is because the Facebook metrics and the algorithms work very differently. So they will push certain content at certain times. So Facebook at the moment are really big on video. So video content is going to be more common now for what we're doing throughout, as well as the normal stuff that we do. But my metrics would tell me that the image style posts that we do are 10 times more effective. But the point of it is, if you're going through X and Y and you're seeing our clients' properties and you're not seeing other people's properties, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what we're meant to do. Can you look for a property and watch? Do you want me to do that now, Roger? Facebook tends to get the browsers who are bored. What do you think Rightmove does? How many people do you think have signed up to Rightmove over the last 24 years who get an alert? It's the same thing. And you are right. Does Facebook attract people who aren't genuinely looking for a property to sell or buy? Yes, it does. Is that kind of the point? Yes, it is. It's gone to a different audience that might not necessarily be looking, but might move for the right thing or know somebody who's moving for the right thing. I think you've convinced me to delete 50 plus searches. Yeah, the map's a lot easier if you're looking in a bit of a broader location. Roger, right. We'll try and do it for you now, Roger, eh? So Worcestershire, 900k or less, 4 stables. I mean, I know that we've got one on the market in and around that area in Whitchurch. That's 4.5 acres, 850,000 menage stables. That one will work for you. But let's assume, as you keep telling us you've seen everything that we're doing, that you've already seen it. Worcestershire. I'm not going to draw the search, actually. I'm going to do it this way to show people the difference, because you can still do it this way, but it's just a little bit more annoying. You want less than 900k, right? Let's have a look. Acre. Equestrian. I'm just going to nip back to what else you asked for. Stables. Okay. That looks like a good one. There you go. There's one there. Not a lot, look. Shall I put arena? Now we've got to rely on agents knowing how to spell menage, so I'll put that in. It doesn't say anything about the acreage here, unfortunately. But it's labelled as equestrian. No, we've got no mention of any acreage. What was this one? 0.45 acres. Well, it looks like Rightmove's still not a great deal. But if you do the same search here, there are definitely properties around. It just depends how far you're going to go out of your area, to be honest with you, mate. But they do exist. That was on Rightmove. You can, only on the desktop version, you can click either draw a search for the areas that you're looking at, or you can type in Worcestershire. You can add a distance, so Worcestershire plus 10 miles or whatever you want to do. You can put your price parameters in and effectively add those keywords. So equestrian, stables. I probably wouldn't put menage in because a lot of people are going to spell it a lot of different ways. You could try and put 5 acres, but you're better off just putting acres, to be honest. And look that way through Rightmove. But as I've said before, I'd be prepared to be a bit more creative. So can you see something with 20 acres who might split the plot? I'd do that. You know, let's say that something's on at 1.2, 20 acres, and there's easy access to the other land. Make the inquiry. I've got a budget of 900. I only need 5 acres. Would they sell it me with 5 acres rather than 20? That'd be the type of stuff that I'd be doing if it was a bit more challenging in an area as well. Anything else, anyone? Cool. Right. Well, thanks for joining us. I've really appreciated it. If you do want more information, you want us to do other Q&As, like I say, occupancy clause to me would be a good one. But if you want anything like that, let us know. See what Chris is saying. I'm wondering anything Chris was going forward and potentially missing out on gems. The invitations that are black and white. Does that make sense? I think so. I don't think there's such a thing as missing out on gems when you're already looking for a needle in a haystack, if I'm being honest, Chris. If you're already looking for something really bespoke, anytime you find anything that matches, that it's a gem anyway, right? But I do see, I think I know what you mean with the social media. Are we encouraging less people to come forward? Potentially. But if you're on the market and you reach 70,000 people and nobody comes forward, or you're on social media and you reach 400,000 people and nobody comes forward, it's all giving you data, isn't it? It's all giving you information. Well, I'm on every platform and nobody's come forward, for argument's sake. You can then no, I know it's not a criticism. I know what you're asking. You'd rather have that information through the social media metrics, and as I said earlier, it gives you real-time feedback. So if nobody is coming forward and you're posting through social media and people see it, you can see the comments, right? Well, it's been shared to these groups, but nobody's commented. But I can see that the other property got 50 comments or 50 likes. Or you see people saying, I know we see it all the time, oh, it's too expensive, or it's not the right area, or riding's terrible. Sometimes, and we had a call from somebody today who saw us correcting people, sometimes it's just information. Sometimes people might think that there is an X nearby or that X isn't possible, and they've commented, and you can correct them and say, actually, this is possible. This occupancy clause is fine. We've got that one in Wales that has got a TAN 6 occupancy clause, a rural enterprise. And there are people who've ruled it out thinking that it's an agricultural occupancy clause. And if they put that in the comments, we know that's the problem. We can try and fix it. So that's what social media is good for. With normal platforms, you don't have that interaction. And what I would refer that to as opportunity. And if you don't have that opportunity to speak to somebody because the platforms don't allow it, whereas you do on social media, you've got a chance to address the issue. And even if you can't address the issue, it's still a conversation that can then be had, isn't it? That, well, here's what people are thinking. If one person's thought it, you can guarantee other people have thought it. So I think social media it's really good for certainly reach, engagement, and as we've experienced, our whole business pretty much is through social media now. And I think more and more of it will go that way as well. But I'll leave you to it all because it's 9:10. I've got the kids upstairs and the missus, so I'll shoot off. But yeah, if you want us to do another Q&A on any topic, we're happy to do it. Just let us know, messages, put something in the comments, and we'll go from there. Thanks for your time.